Do you need to get rid of those misconceptions? Believe me, it is more than philosophy or wisdom. It is an actual experience. If you do, it will change all that surrounds you. All of a sudden you're going to find other dimensions that were under your feet. But you don't know anything about them. That's just what we're going to explain to you step by step. You and nobody else except you will make the changes you want in the life you are looking for. All we can do in this important video is light a candle to light the path down the tunnel. Within a few minutes you will see the hidden gems of the right way of thinking. You will see that you simply used bad thinking mechanisms, which will make you miss out on many opportunities and even enjoy a better life. Here is a brief explanation of each of the faulty thinking mechanisms. Number 1. The framing effect. This refers to the way in which the way information is presented, or framed, can influence people's thoughts and decisions. In another meaning, a decision may appear more attractive when framed in positive terms, and less attractive when framed in negative terms, even though the content of the decision is the same. First example, a survey asked people if they would support a plan to increase taxes in order to fund a new public health program. When the question was framed as "Would you support a plan to improve public health by increasing taxes?" the support rate was much higher than when the question was framed as "Would you support a plan to increase taxes to fund a new public health program?" Second example, a study asked people if they wanted to purchase a car. When the question was framed in terms of what they would gain from buying the car. For example, "Would you like to buy a car for its convenience and style?" the purchase rate was higher than when the question was framed in terms of what they would lose by not buying the car. For example, "Would you like to not buy a car and miss out on its convenience and style?" Number 2. The overconfidence. This is when people overestimate the accuracy of their beliefs, judgments, and predictions. Overconfidence can lead to poor decision-making, as people may ignore important information or rely too heavily on their own opinions. An example of overconfidence: Bill thought he was an excellent driver. So he drove recklessly and often sped. This overconfidence led to him getting several speeding tickets and some collisions with other cars. Although he believed he was a safe driver, his overconfidence caused him to make bad decisions and put himself in dangerous situations. Another example, John was sure he would get an A on his math test, so he didn't bother to study. His overconfidence led him to fail the test, and he was surprised and disappointed with his results. His poor decision to not study was due to his overconfidence in his abilities. We can point to another example. Susan believed her new product was a surefire hit and she invested all of her savings into it. Unfortunately, the product didn't do as well as Susan had predicted and she ended up in debt. Her overconfidence in the product led her to make an unwise decision and cost her a lot of money. Another example also, Robert was sure the stock market was going to rise, so he put all her money into a single stock. He was wrong and the stock price dropped, causing Robert to lose a significant portion of her savings. His overconfidence in the stock market led him to make an unwise investment decision. Number 3. Anchoring bias. This is when people rely too heavily on the first piece of information they receive, the anchor, when making subsequent judgments or decisions. This can lead to an overestimation or underestimation of the value or importance of something, based on the initial anchor. Example, when shopping for a new car, a consumer may receive an initial quote for the car they want that is significantly higher than expected. This quote can act as an anchor and cause the consumer to overestimate the value of the car or to be reluctant to negotiate for a lower price. Another example, when interviewing candidates for a job, the interviewer may form an opinion on a candidate based on the first few minutes of the interview. And this opinion can become an anchor that influences the rest of the interview and the decision-making process. Number 4. Belief perseverance. This is when people cling to their beliefs even in the face of new evidence or information that contradicts them. This can make it difficult to change one's beliefs or opinions, even when they are shown to be incorrect. An example of belief perseverance. When Galileo first proposed that the Earth revolves around the Sun, many people clung to their belief that the Earth was the center of the universe. Despite Galileo's evidence to the contrary, they refused to change their minds. Another example. James has always believed that global warming is not real, and despite the overwhelming scientific evidence to the contrary, She continues to believe this and refuses to accept any new information that conflicts with her belief. Another example, 2. John always believed that the stock market is a gamble and a bad investment. Despite his friend's advice and the evidence of continual growth in the markets, he refused to put any money into the stock market, sticking to his original belief. An example from history about perseverance of belief. Despite the evidence that the government's policy of segregation was wrong and in violation of basic human rights, many people in the United States clung to their belief that it was the right thing to do. Another example from the history. When Christopher Columbus first set sail, he believed the world was flat and would soon come to an end. Even when the evidence showed that the world was round, Columbus persisted in his belief that the world was flat. Number 5. Fixation. This refers to the tendency to get stuck on a particular idea or solution to a problem, which can prevent someone from considering alternative approaches or finding a better solution. Example. In a recent meeting, our team was discussing a new marketing strategy for our product. One of our members had a great idea, but became so fixated on it that they couldn't see any other solutions. As a result, we weren't able to move forward with our discussion and had to take a break. Another example from the history. During the French Revolution, the revolutionaries became fixated on the idea of overthrowing the monarchy and failed to see the deeper causes of the unrest in the country. This fixation prevented them from implementing any meaningful reforms, leading to further chaos and violence. Number 6. Halo effect. This is a cognitive bias where someone's overall impression of a person, product, or situation influences their evaluation of specific aspects of it. For example, if someone thinks highly of a particular person, they may rate that person more positively on various characteristics, even if they have no basis for doing so. For example, a person may have a positive impression of a company, so they might think the products made by that company are of higher quality than they actually are. Another example from the history. The halo effect has been demonstrated in a famous study conducted by psychologist Edward Thorndike in 1920. In the study, he asked people to evaluate soldiers based on their physical appearance, and then later asked them to evaluate the soldiers on other criteria such as personality, intelligence, and leadership. The results of the study showed that people tended to give the soldiers higher ratings on the second set of criteria if they had given them higher ratings on the physical appearance criteria. Show how a positive impression of someone or something may affect how they value the same person or the same thing in other ways. These are just a few of the many faulty thinking mechanisms that people can fall prey to. By being aware of these biases and how they can influence our thinking, we can work to overcome them and make more accurate and informed decisions. Finally, by being aware of these biases, we can work to overcome them and make more accurate and informed decisions. We've introduced some additional faulty thinking mechanisms that people can fall prey to, and our episodes continue to provide everything new for starting a successful life. Thank you for watching this video. We would appreciate your clicking on like and subscribing to the channel to receive any new updates.